Good afternoon, family and friends, and welcome to a celebration of life for Almeria ELWELL. I'm Shane, grandson-in-law, and it's my privilege to be here today. Please take the time now to switch your mobile phones to silent and grab some tissues for your tears of memory and joy. My rehearsal yesterday was without tears. Let's see how we go today, and I have my support team here. Unfortunately, grandchildren Kim, Rod, Ben, Beck, and the boys, family and dear friends from all over the United Kingdom and the world cannot be here today. What a wonderful and full life Alma led. She lived for 100 years and 142 days. She was married to the great late Peter for 65 years, mother to John, Norma, Ed, Liz, Lisa and Trish. Mother-in-law to John, Ivan, Jane, and Curtis. She has 14 grandchildren, 32 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren. And not forgetting all the in-laws that come with that sort of lineage. Please forgive me for not reading out the list. We gather today to offer our condolences to the ELWELL family and provide support with hugs, tears of remembrance, and tears of joy. We give thanks that we have all been touched in some way by being a part of Alma's life. We gather to celebrate Alma and share her memories. She was such a wonderful, wonderful lady. Family and friends, if you're able to do so, please stand and join in for one of Alma's favourite hymns, 23rd Psalm, King's Choir. Please be seated. Family and friends, I mentioned earlier tears of memories and joy. Please have your tissues at the ready as I invite Belinda up for the eulogy. This might be a team effort. Belinda?
Bear with me. Yeah, it's pinching me. On the 27th of January 1925, in the family home of 28 East Road, Chadwell Heath, parents John and Charlotte Shepherd Gregory welcomed their sixth child to the fold, Almeria. John was a midshipman on one of the last steam-powered vessels in the British Navy up until the beginning of World War I. He then gave up his sea legs and transferred to the Army as a sergeant major. Charlotte was a very busy homemaker with children May, Ron, Norma, Elsie, Louis, Alma, and then little brothers Jack and Howard. A larger home was needed, so at the age of 4, Alma and the family moved a short way down the street to number 1 East Road. It is here where the family remained, John and Charlotte both seeing out their remaining years here, and then older sister Louis staying on till her passing. I have memories of sleeping on a cloud-like feather bed at number 1 East Road when Ben and I stayed with Louis as kids. Alma often reflected on a well-rounded childhood. Her parents were firm but fair, poor in monetary terms but rich in integrity, inclusiveness and morals. Their father often took the children on walks. He was an enthusiastic artist, sketching the landscape, jotting down notes and then creating watercolours. The children were encouraged to exercise, help in the garden, read and create. They would camp in the hills of Hainault Forest. It is from this vantage point that Alma can remember being with her father and siblings and sitting in awe of the orange glow of the 1936 Crystal Palace fire, some 20 kilometres away in South London. The Great Depression was in full swing in England by 1930, and like many families, the Shepherd Gregorys bore the weight of the limited funds. To increase the warmth at bedtime, John would place sheets of brown paper between the children's blankets. John and Charlotte were proud people, and the children were forbidden to accept food of other families in the street. Alma recalled the envy felt at the thought of a stale sweet cake, fond food that poorer families of East Road were often given by charities. Charity was not accepted at number 1. Instead, Charlotte had the gift of frugalness and would turn a 6pence worth of potatoes and scrag and mutton into 3 days' worth of meals. An orange in her stocking, a Christmas stocking, was a real treat. New outfits were fashioned from Alma's 3 older sisters' hand-me-downs. You can imagine the excitement when John returned from London with a bolt of brand new fabric some years later. He had used a portion of inheritance from his estranged family. At the age of 5, Alma had her first new winter dress, sewn by her mother from tweed-like fabric with red buttons down the front, affectionately known as her soldier's dress. During the hard times, you had to make your own fun. Alma loved to dance. In fact, she can't really remember walking anywhere. Forever dancing and skipping. One step on the road and then a little dance on the curb. Tap dancing and pirouetting in the paved alcoves around the streets of Chadwell Heath. She reflected on village concerts, portions of lardy cakes packed with plump sultanas handed out amongst the crowd. John worked tirelessly, travelling for companies to provide for his family, paving the way for a sound work ethic for Alma and her siblings. At just 14, Alma began employment as an office girl in the Charing Cross branch of Metropolitan Vickers, a manufacturing and engineering company that at the time were providing valuable equipment for the British Army, RAF and Navy. Promotion to a filing clerk did not meet the needs of a restless Alma. Military service was in her blood and she longed to join the Navy. Permission to apply for military service was required at the time for women. Her boss, Mr. Cantor, granted this, though thoroughly pointed out, "Alma, you will be given a uniform only to return to a role not too dissimilar to this one. Rather than obtaining Navy status and just do the same old bloomin' work," her words, Alma tossed her heeled shoes, pulled on her boots, and joined the Women's Land Army. Excuse me. As all able-bodied men were required for the war efforts of World War II, a shortage of agricultural labourers meant a shortage in food production, not only for the civilians on home soil, but the boys in the trenches needed feeding too. The stand-in workforce of the Land Army saved the day. Alma underwent training on a farm in Essex before a posting to Feltimore Farm. The work was hard, dirty, and the hours were long. Alma naturally fell into a leadership role and was responsible for a somewhat crass and rowdy bunch of girls from London. Disgusted at the girls' lack of appropriate farming footwear, Alma wrote a succinct, no-nonsense letter to the powers that be. Unbeknownst to Alma, this letter passed her father's desk. John had taken a position at the War Agricultural Committee. Alma's 12 girls received the boots they deserved. Alma received a letter from her father acknowledging that her request was just, yet pointed out, "In future, if you are to voice your misgivings of the establishment, then please check your spelling." In 1942, Alma was posted to Stewart's Farm in Essex, which is where the essence of who we are began. Alma was to step into the position held by a young man called Peter. Peter was deployed to the continent with the British Army, however was allowed to return home for the harvest in the summer of 1942. Peter met Alma. Alma initially thought very little of him. "You might end up marrying me." Alma's riposte, "That is most unlikely." Peter persisted over subsequent harvests, and they were engaged whilst Peter was on leave in 1945. Working together on the farm solidified an unbreakable bond. Alma, impressed by his gentlemanly qualities, which we might scoff at a little bit, he would walk her home after dances and was never pushy, wink wink. In 1948, they married in the Potter Street Church, Harlow, Peter's home turf. Alma looked sensational in her dress. It was a hire that screen siren Margaret Lockwood of the time wore in one of her films. Alma and Peter moved to the family home called Thatcher's in 1948, and here they began their family. Along came John, Norma, and Edward. In 1942, Home Farm became the family residence, and then came along Elizabeth and Lisa. A friendship blossomed between the Elwells and the Grahams, a family that had moved in down the street. The idea of immigrating down under was born, and in 1947, the move signified a new and exciting chapter for both families. Peter, Alma, and the 5 children boarded the Strath Eden at Tilbury on an assisted passage program, the one-way tickets costing them £20 in total. Alma was heavily pregnant with Patricia for the 6-week journey. Alma's first impression of the Australian way was to work whilst under the influence. The customs official in Sydney was quite intoxicated, instructing Peter to strap all the all-clear tape on all of their belongings without clearing the luggage himself. A journey from Sydney to Casino followed, memories of toast with dripping from the food cart, stinking hot weather on arrival, the Northern Rivers was in drought. The Elwell clan settled for a time in a beach fibro at Evans, became residents at Riley's Hill, and then purchased a farm on the Evans River that was affectionately known as Doombar. Peter and a team of friends built the family home, and it is here the Elwells thrived. Alma was a natural homemaker, frugal like her mother. She could feed a small army at a moment's notice. The house was a mecca for gatherings of every kind, the door always open. Birthday parties, dinner parties, afternoon tipples with neighbours, Sunday soup and salmon lunches, Easters and Christmases. They worked the land side by side, a constant battle with the sandy soil. Alma had her own feed shed for her poultry. If you stopped laying, you became dinner. She made preserves, pate, brawn, her own butter, chocolate spread. I could go on. She was an amazing cook. Alma never acquired a license, which did limit her ability to be hugely active in the community. However, she was involved in the P&C at the children's school and a member of the Woodburn Choir and the CWA. She enjoyed many wonderful friendships, lifelong friends that trickled down the generations. Occasionally, Alma would fill in for May Kneelings at Dr. Dougie Ryan's practice in Evans. May, with her lovely set hair of a purple hue, and larger-than-life Dougie also becoming regular visitors to the farm. The children grew, venturing out into the world, returning with new stories, partners to add to the family, and in time an abundance of children. Doombar and its caretakers became the heart of a growing legacy, nurturing 3 generations of grandchildren, the youngest welcomed into the world just this year. The loss of Peter 11 years ago was felt deeply. A new chapter began for Alma, and she really did make it her own whilst surrounded by and loved by her family. Unfortunately, the 2022 F word was a curveball that resulted in some changes that were hard to swallow. However, Alma, forever stoic and an optimistic, walked amongst the soggy chaos and stated, "It's not that bad, it's just stuff." The progression of time crept along and Alma's needs evolved. We held our breaths and thanked her for reaching 100, a marvellous accomplishment and a beautiful day shared with family and friends. Alma loved animals, especially her birds and dogs. She was an avid reader, puzzler, scrabbler, letter writer, collector of antiquities, lover of the arts, especially ballet and classical music. She religiously watched Tipping Point, enjoyed a gritty British crime show, and somewhat surprisingly, developed a taste for footy, with a concerning soft spot for Payne Haas. And I quote, "People might die, but football goes on," she said. Alma, a devoted admirer of flora and fauna, recently played a key role in preserving Doombar, an initiative dedicated to protecting biodiversity and the natural environment. Her efforts have helped secure a lasting sanctuary for native plants and animals, especially the beloved Doombar koalas. Her words, "I can go now. Doombar is safe." Excuse me. Her final weeks were a burst of social vibrancy, as if quietly ticking off some last goodbyes. She was leaving us, closing her final chapter with grace. Ready to go and held with love, our queen, our everything, passed away in the twilight of June 18, knowing very much so that she was cherished and loved. She now passes the baton to John, Norma, Edward, Elizabeth, Lisa and Trish, each of whom loved her deeply, along with their devoted partners, John, Jane, Ivan and Curtis, her 14 grandchildren and their many children along the way. Thank you.
Well done, Belinda. Family and friends, let's pause for a moment as we hear a song titled Alma, written by Jessie Elwell, and in her words, a crappy iPhone recording from the heart. Thanks, Jessie.
You are the rock that holds the blood together. You are the mother's beating heart. day you left, I prayed we stick together and live without you in the dark. Don't cry for me, child. I heard you say please smile for me, child. For the life that I lived, I did it my way. You're the one that's always been there, through thick and thin, through hot and cold. With softest eyes and your warm hands that radiate a heart of gold. Don't cry for me, child. I hear you say just know I'm free now. I'm at peace and I am happy. The thread of time, it seems so real now. The feeling trapped behind my lips, yet I find a flowing tear now for my own self and what I'll miss. Don't cry for me, child. I hear you say please smile for me, child. For this grateful heart of mine lived for each day. Goodbye, Grandma.
Wow, Jessie, that was beautiful. Well done. Family and friends, the great-grandchildren, Chrysalie, Ellie, Riley and Chloe, will now give us a short reading.
To our great-grandma, our family is like a tree, standing sturdy and tall. At the root is our great-grandma, who lives through us all. No matter how far we've gone to start new branches on our own, our roots, our grandma, has always been there to call us home. Her soul now rests at Doombar, still sitting with her birds. We remember her conversations, finding comfort in her words. Next to great-grandpa, watching quietly from above, we can hear her laugh echo around us, a memory wrapped in love.
Her hands held so many with kindness, love and care. We will cherish these moments forever, and the happiness we shared. Through generations of connection, you built a home to last. How special you made us feel. That feeling will never pass. We'd play around Doonbar under your watchful eye, chasing each other around like crazy and constructing mud pies. Drumsticks melting in our hands, laughter on the back veranda. How blessed to be a grandchild. These are the things we will remember.
All of us great-grandchildren will miss coming to visit, when parents' rules went out the window, always a yes to a second biscuit. Be good, she would say, as we said our goodbye. We would smile and hug her warmly, always was our reply. No matter where you are, Granny, we know you are near. We hold you close in our hearts, in every smile and every tear. Your wisdom, stories and lessons will be carefully compiled. This isn't your farewell, but simply a see you later, child.
Well done, great grannies. Family and friends, I now invite you to come forward and place any mementos you may have on Alma's coffin.
All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, for He made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, He made their glowing colors, He made their tiny wings. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, for He made them all. The tall trees in the greenwood, the river running by, the sunset.
Thank you. Family and friends, we will now have reflections from the family. Here's something from Norma that John will read. Johnny?
What a lady Mum was. I've been part of the Elwell family for 54 years, 1 week and 1 day at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I wonder what Mum and Peter thought when Norma turned up with a long-haired bloke with no shoes in a beat-up FE Holden with a surfboard on the roof. They accepted me as I was, as they did with everybody through their married life as far as I understand. I'm sure that Mum and Peter didn't agree with everything I did or said, but I never had a disagreement with them, unlike Norma and I. I think my siblings-in-law would agree with me when I say that we couldn't have wished for a better parents-in-law. I've included Peter in this eulogy to Mum because I believe Mum and Peter's partnership, which goes beyond their marriage, is unbreakable. I love you both immensely. And this from Norma, our mum, wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, grand foster mother, and mother to many furry babies. A friend to so many. A confidant to us all when needed. Always lent an ear to us all. A grand lady loved by so many and who will be missed dearly, now reunited with her Peter. To coin a phrase, remember me, but do not cry for me for too long. And finally, from Mum, the great reader, I've finished this chapter. I've put down my book. I've turned out the light. And now to sleep. Nighty-night. Bless you, Mum. Nonny. Thank you.
Well done, Johnny. Lizzie, would you like to come up, please?
Now, I might need my support team because I haven't got a bottle of whiskey like Belinda had.
Well, some of us are a little more prepared, that's all I can say.
Now, firstly, I'd like to tell you a little story about this. Mum was having blood taken, and we're sitting down there, and she said, "What's that hideous thing you've got around your neck?" I said, "Mum, it's a nautilus shell, it's beautiful." She said, "No, it's horrible." And I said, "Well, I love it." And she said, "Well, don't wear it to my funeral." So then, the day before she died, we were going to Ballina, and I was just telling her about it. I said, "You know, when you do die, I am going to wear that." And I am. A little bit of rebellion. Anyway, Belinda and everyone summed Mum up so well. I just wanted to say this little thing. Well, good afternoon to you all. Belinda has given you a picture of Mum's beautiful life. I just want to touch on her recent years, the 2022 floods and beyond. Firstly, I'd like to thank the medical team for all the care and support that they have given to Mum and myself over the years. Prior to the flood, Mum lived a quiet life at Doombar. She was content. After the flood, and again after when she couldn't live independently, whilst devastating, a new chapter opened. Mum moved to Bungawarben with Ivan, Bear and myself. Thank you to my family and friends for helping us during this time, especially those of you who went that extra mile. Mum and I truly appreciated your support. Mum met so many new people and rekindled many old friendships in this time. The Red Cross, the Foot Ladies, the Evans-Head Golden Oldies group, my Sit and Stitch group, the Campbell sisters, Bingo. She was busy. With all these groups and family and friends visiting, Mum had a full life and a full calendar, rarely spending a day at home. People almost had to make an appointment to see her. Your beautiful friendships enriched her final life in her final years, and we thank you all for that. Here is a sum up of Mum's final day. In the morning, she had her feet done at Margaret's, and then morning tea with the girls. Then on the road to Shelley's Beach at Ballina for lunch with my nursing friends. Came home, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She laid down on the bed and had an hour's sleep before going to Jessie's 18th birthday party. What a life. She lived it to the end. Thank you. Bless you, Mum.
Thanks, Lizzie. A very dear friend of the family, Rosalind Miranda, sends a reading from Alcalá, Spain, for Curtis and Ellie to read.
I met the Elwell family in February 1973 when Ted, who was on his way home for his 21st, picked me up while I was hitchhiking back to the airport after my first trip to Australia. The last thing Alma needed when preparing to feed 100 people the next day was a scruffy backpacker who was suffering from heat exhaustion. But nothing fazed Alma. She mixed me in with the guests who had already arrived, fed us all fried eggs, and put me to bed. When I woke the next morning, I found that she had washed and ironed everything in my backpack. She wanted me to stay for the party, but I needed to continue to the airport. Before I left, though, she insisted on getting my parents' address to let them know I was all right. That was Alma, always helpful, always concerned about others, and that was the side of a friendship that lasted more than half a century. She kept in touch and never forgot a birthday. I was delighted when she and Peter came to visit me in Spain in the early 1990s. My next trip to Doomba was to bring my new husband on our honeymoon, and other trips followed. Always, there were 2 pots of soup on the stove to feed anyone who showed up. Everyone knew they were welcome at Alma's. The friendship with Alma reached to her extended family, several of whom have visited me over the years. I was always made to feel like one of the family, which continues to mean so very much to me. My last trip to Doomba was in November of 2023, when I spent more than a week with her, mostly sitting in the living room, talking and talking some more, with her sharing so many of her memories with me. We'd put food on the porch railing and watch the birds fly over to eat. There were the Monday Scrabble games and the many visitors. The love and caring in that home were palpable. I've been blessed to know Alma, and the relationships continue through her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Thank you, Alma, for all this.
I invite the grandchildren forward, Peter, Kristen, Belinda and Jessie.
We feel the warmth in everything she gave us. We loved everything that was Gran, her eloquence, her fairness, her expressions and her presence. 14 grandchildren, many fond memories. There was the classic Gran phases like, Gordon Bennett, do you really need that extra tablespoon of jam? Well, there you go, with arms folded, resting on the table, one hand patting her forearm for emphasis. When asked how she was, oh, I'm fine. Always said with calm certainty, no matter what, seeking to reassure you. We all remember that unmistakable, oh, Peter, usually after Gramps said something inappropriate. Sometimes it was, oh, Peter, stop being so common, delivered with just the right mix of disgust and affection. Belinda remembers her leaning against the stove for warmth, lemon and honey drinks for a cold, and swimming down at the point with her watching on. Chrissy Tom would call in after school and chop firewood, and then enjoy sitting at the table, sharing a cup of lemon cordial. Mornings with Gran were that of steady ease. Kristen remembers the sound of the old wireless blaring the ABC News. The day at Doomba had begun.
We remember walking with her and Grandpa to the dairy in the soft light, getting ready for milking, Ben remembers the sound of Gran tapping a feed bucket, calling, "Come along, come along," gentle inflections of her English accent. "Here they come, Ben," she'd say, and you'd hear the cows eagerly running up from the paddocks. After milking, it was breakfast time. We smelt the bacon and the crispy potatoes frying in the dripping, delicious smells filling the kitchen, wafting down the halls to the bedroom. Smelling breakfast from the warmth of the bed meant you'd missed the morning's milking. Heath loved how she allowed us, under a watchful eye, to separate the cream in the dairy and then later help churn the butter. She would then deftly pat the butter into blocks, a flower pattern pressed on top. We helped toss hay from the back of the truck, Gran at the wheel waiting for instruction from Grandpa to move on. The never-ending pot of soup on the stove, a daily feature of lunch, perfect on a Sunday, an excellent hangover remedy, though we didn't let that on. Arguments over who had the smarty bowl for soup happened at most sittings. To ease arguments, the bowl often made its way back into the cupboard. Little Trish loved to help serve the bowls of soup. This role meant you got to sit on the orange stool between Gran and Gramps, the honour for helping. Kim recalls the jam and cream sandwiches made with fresh bread and Terry's Bakery. From Terry's Bakery. A hearty spread of Gran's butter, thick cream and lashings of... Where are we? Sorry. Of homemade jam. There were the cheeses, sometimes soft, sometimes a bit questionable. Her savoury mince and potatoes, feasts at a Christmas, snacks of sliced apple and cheese.
Gran standing at the red bench making marmalade, chocolate log, soups, tea and coffee. Milo measured precisely 3 teaspoons into farm fresh milk, but always in plastic cups because the glass ones were too special. There were games around the big table, cards, rummy, drawing our masterpieces, proudly displayed on the fridge or slowly clogging up the china cabinet. We'd perch ourselves on the arm of her chair or at her feet for lazy afternoon movies, Grandpa snoring loudly. She would warn us about the grapes from the garden. "Rachel, don't eat too many or you'll get the collywobbles." She showed us where to find the best peacock feathers under the fig tree. For long drives to collect hay or an auction adventure, she would pack picnics with poppers. We were scolded for playing in the drain or flinging cow pats at each other in the calf paddock. A stern word given for the pink mohawk at graduation, a slip of the tongue or the new tattoo. Susan recalls the basket of crinkle-cut chips in the sitting room, fizzy drinks on special occasions, Street's Pleasure Bar ice creams and drumsticks from the freezer drawer. Lunch at Doon Bar was special.
Peter recalls her calling, "Peter!" from the kitchen window, summoning Grandpa from the woodworking shed, scolding him for not shaking off the sawdust before sitting at the table. He will be receiving an earful right now. Jessie would seek comfort with Gran whenever comfort was needed, absorbing her gentle wisdom, empathy and strength, a treasured teacher. Kelly holds the memory of her laugh, that signature chuckle of hers, polite, knowing and just a little cheeky. Emma holds on to Gran's warmth, her welcoming nature and the joy of helping her collect the eggs. Her wave from the kitchen window as you slowly drove off, just so as to absorb the moment a little longer, always with a warm smile and her version of au revoir, reservoir. We hold on to the sound advice given and the invaluable time spent together. Gran will always remain our centre, her spirit alive in our many reflections, dancing and skipping through our memories, just like little Alma once did on the pavements of Chadwell Heath.
Family and friends, please come forward now if you would like to share something. Thank you. Family and friends, another great opportunity to reach for the tissues as we enjoy some photos on the big screen.
Old Peter Elwell had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had some pigs, E-I-E-I-O. With a snort snort here and a snort snort there, and here and snort here and snort there. Old Peter Elwell had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Now I think you better sing it to me. No. Because I'm out of breath. Dave! Peter!
Yeah, Dave, come on up. Good on you, mate. Great story, and thanks for your condolences. I'd like to call on Alma's niece, Susie Bennett, to recite the Lord's Prayer. Family and friends, please join in reciting the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Let us pause for another moment and reflect on Alma's life that meant so much to us all while we listen to Here I Am, Lord.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard I, the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away. I will break their hearts of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I will hold your people in my
Family and friends, thank you for being here today for Alma's celebration of a wonderfully rich and fulfilling life and helping bid her farewell. Family and friends, this concludes today's service. You're invited to join the family for some refreshments at Alma's family farm, Doombar. Please grab some of Grandma's lollies on the way out. Reservoir, Almy.